Hi, welcome. I'm Coach Tanya here at Criticalbench, and today I'm talking about poop. Yes, and I'm going to do it with a straight face. So let's have a little fun with this and laugh a little in the process, but address some things that are honestly rather serious because, you know, it's all easy to talk about things we're putting into our body, but sometimes it gets a little awkward when we talk about what should be coming out of our body and what that should look like and how frequently that should happen. It's not an easy conversation to have, so we're going to have it because it is important. And you know what? Your poop is actually trying to tell you something, so I'm going to encourage you to just throw out all the awkwardness and let's just have a really great discussion about this. So, poop. Did you know that there's 7 different types of poop? There is. And you thought it was just one big stinky old mess. But it's not. There are 7 different types. And yes, I got my notes because I'm not going to get through this without forgetting something or getting completely off track. So I'm going to stay on track. We're going to stick to the facts here. But there are 7 different types of poop, and you know, really, if you haven't been paying attention, you might want to start paying attention, particularly if maybe you're going through a period of time you're not feeling good. Maybe you've recently been put on a certain medication for something. If you have children, now I know as a mom, we're always looking at our kids' poop, especially when mom, my tummy hurts, or you know, if when you're a mom, you're very aware of when the last time your child pooped was. Like, you know these things. You have to know these things, especially when they're too little to tell you things. You're aware of it because this is what we do. We want to make sure that everyone's healthy and well. And you know, even as I have grown children, they're going to kill me for this, but when we're traveling or if they've been visiting, I'll be like, "Have you pooped today?" TMI, but it's a mom thing. So if you're someone that really doesn't, you know, and really if you're someone that has never had an issue, like you've never been constipated or plagued with constipation frequently, you've never been plagued with, you know, diarrhea frequently, like if you don't have a lot of digestive issues and really your bowel movements are fairly regular, they're easy, you have no problem, you probably haven't paid attention because there hasn't been a need to. But the things I'm going to talk about today might have you thinking a little bit more about that, especially like I said, maybe you're not feeling well, maybe you haven't been sleeping well, maybe you've been prescribed some medication and it's affecting your bowel movements, maybe you've made some dietary changes, maybe you're traveling. I don't know if I said that already, I'm losing track, but there's a lot of different things that can influence how this whole system works. And when things get backed up, we tend to not feel good. It certainly isn't good when things get backed up because we got stuff coming in, so stuff needs to be going out, okay? So we want to keep that whole flow going easily, smoothly, and regularly. And sometimes what does come out, we kind of need to pay attention to it because it is important. It can help give an indication as to what might be causing the problem. With things coming in or things that we're not doing or doing too much of. So what it looks like, what color it is, can actually give us a lot of valuable information when things aren't working out. So let's get through this. All right, so 7 types of poop. Number 1 is separate hard lumps. So separate hard lumps like nuts, and they're very difficult and painful to pass. So that's probably your constipated, or you're very, you know, you're on the way to constipation. But that, again, you kind of want to look at what have you eaten. Now, if this is something new, if all of a sudden you're like, I can't go to the bathroom, what's going on? I have to go, but I can't, and it hurts. That can be, you know, things like FODMAP foods, things that are higher in carbs, fats, but very low in fiber. So things like cheeses, dairy. Some people are very affected by dairy. And it can cause a lot of digestive issues and make it very difficult to go to the bathroom. So if this is something you're noticing, think back to what you last ate in the last day, the last couple days. And you know, if you're traveling, definitely travel and a changed diet can lead to something like this, okay? And medication. So that's type number 1. Type number 2 is sausage-shaped but lumpy. Now, if it's easy to pass, great, you're not having any problems, but again, it's not the ideal. It's not the ideal type, okay? And again, that can be any number of things. We always want to make sure we're getting lots of fiber. We also want to make sure we're drinking lots of water. And those two, you want to make sure it's a nice partnership. We're always being told, and we're always hearing about how we need to drink more water, and we're always, probably a lot of times hearing how we need to make sure we have fiber in our diet. So we definitely want to make sure we've got fiber in our diet, lots of it, the optimal amount based on what our macros are, but you also need a lot of water to go with that, because fiber helps make stools bulky, soft, and easier to pass, but if you're not drinking enough water, it's going to make them hard, dry, and get stuck. So it's great to have the fiber, but it's not so great if you're not getting enough water as well, okay? Type 3 is sausage-like, but with cracks on the surface, and this can be black. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what can cause black stools. A lot of times it's something that you ate or medication, which can cause it to turn color. Now, when it's a more serious issue, there's other things that are happening. It's not just that your stool looks black, but there's also other things that you're going to notice. So initially, if you see that your stools are black, again, think back to what you just recently ate in the last 24 to 48 hours, or if you've been prescribed any medication, before getting very anxious that something is terribly, terribly wrong, all right? Number 4 is sausage or snake-like, smooth and soft. And this is apparently, according to experts, is the average, is what most people's stools are like. Now, when you think of your digestive tract and your colon, it's very long. So ideally, a healthy stool is one that is rather long and has got curves in it, because your digestive tract isn't in one straight line. It's curved like this. So if things are moving really well, there's no blockages, you're not constipated, things are kind of in check, your stool should somewhat mimic the casing that they've just come out from. So these sausage, snake-like, smooth and soft tend to be more average. They're not necessarily like prize winning or ideal, but that is sort of more the norm. Type 5, soft blobs with clear-cut edges. Okay, somebody really put a lot of work into this. Type 6, fluffy pieces with ragged edges. So this is mushy, like they're very soft, more like tending towards diarrhea. So very loose, very soft, probably float, or more kind of to like a liquid consistency. Which then we get to number 7, which is watery, no solid pieces, just liquid, and that's diarrhea, and that's not good either. You're losing a lot of fluid, and hopefully, when this does happen, a lot of times it's something we ate. It could be medication. We're just feeling sick, so our body is just eliminating as much as quickly as it can. If it doesn't subside, then you need to seek medical attention, because something else is going on. There could be parasites or some kind of infection, something that's causing it, and you need to stop that, because you can become very seriously dehydrated to the point of hospitalization. So, I mean, most people who have ever been sick or ever had food poisoning have experienced diarrhea, but it does end. Okay, what I'm talking about is serious cases where it's just not stopping, and there's probably a deeper, much more serious issue going on that needs to be addressed. So going back to these types. So types 1 and 2, that's separate hard lumps or sausage shaped and lumpy, that is an indication that you're constipated. Now, constipated doesn't necessarily always mean that you can't go to the bathroom. It also can mean that it's more difficult, and usually the harder your stools are, the harder they are to pass, and they can be quite painful. So if you notice that this is what your stool is looking like, there's some home remedies, things you can do, increasing your fiber, increasing your water, getting up and moving, exercising. These are all things that can help from a subtle level. I don't think you need to jump into something really extreme like enemas and stuff like that. Try some of the lifestyle changes to improve things first before going to more aggressive solutions. Types 3 and 4. So the sausage-like, sausage smooth-like, cracks. These are considered more ideal, okay? They're usually easy to pass. They don't contain a lot of excess liquid, so they're soft, easily pass, there's no pain involved. So these are much more, you know, these are happy stools, okay? Type 5, which is soft blobs with clear-cut edges. That's usually a lack of fiber, so you want to increase your fiber. Now what I do want to say about increasing fiber is if you're someone that you know you're really not, you know, you're not getting a great amount of fiber. It's good to know. There's lots of free platforms on the internet, and you can put in your information like your height, your weight, even your activity level, and it's going to spit out your macros. So the grams of protein, carbs, and fats that you should be consuming in a day to, whether it's lose weight or maintain an ideal weight, what your ideal caloric intake is, and especially with respect to your macros. It'll also give you the ideal number of grams of fiber you should be having a day. Now, if you were to do that, and then if you were to actually be really, like, take a look at what you're actually consuming in a day, and if what you're consuming is drastically lower than what is being recommended to you, what I would caution you on is how you're going to get that fiber in terms of the amount right away. You might find that you're on average eating somewhere between 10 to 12 grams of fiber, but ideally for you, for all of that information that's specific to you, the recommendation is, let's say it's around 28 to 30 grams. Okay, so from 10 to almost 30, that's a big gap. I do not recommend jumping out and going to 30 grams the very next day because that can definitely get you constipated right off the bat, and that's not going to make anybody happy. What I would recommend is gradually increasing it. So, you know that you're sitting at around 10. Over the next week, try to increase 5 more grams and do it that way. Make sure you're getting lots of water to keep things moving easily and smoothly for yourself with no pain, but do it gradually. And there's a few ways you can do that, right? You can increase your fiber with foods, lots of delicious high fiber foods. So berries, kiwi, like fresh fruits and vegetables are always a great go-to for fiber content. Whole grains, things like oatmeal, whole grain breads and cereals are really good too. But if you're someone, and it does happen, that incredibly picky, you really just don't like any of these foods, you can always supplement with powders, like things like psyllium husk, Metamucil. There's lots of over-the-counter fiber supplements that you can purchase to add to your drinking water, sprinkle it on cereal, put it in liquids that you can consume it and increase it. But again, going from a very low fiber intake to jumping to like your recommended amount in the 24 hours might not be ideal. Just get there, okay? Where was I? Oh, type 6 and 7, we talked about that. So fluffy pieces, ragged edges, and watery, that's definitely diarrhea. Again, start including take a look at your diet. And diarrhea is often associated with like bad food, something you ate that didn't agree with you. You just may have caught a virus, you may be sick, you may have some kind of intestinal thing going on that causes diarrhea. So illness, diet. In extreme cases, it can be attributed to some more of a digestive tract issue, something that's going on in the digestive system. Could be Crohn's, IBS, that is contributing to that. So those are things that need to be, a doctor intervention needs to happen there, and your diet's going to be very seriously monitored for a while to make sure to limit the amount of episodes of diarrhea, because you lose a lot of fluids, a lot of minerals, just a lot of nutrition. It's not good for you. So those are things to be aware of, particularly when you notice a change, when something feels different, when something doesn't feel quite right, okay? Have a look. I mean, what else am I going to say? Have a look. And then ask the question, what have I done in the last 24 to 48 hours that may have caused this to happen, and what can you do about it to start remedying that? Okay, so moving on to color, because yes, color matters. And again, color is going to be, excuse me, my nose is running, is going to largely indicate things that we've eaten, so dietary influences, and of course, medication, things like that. So brown is the normal color for your stool, and it is also indicates like the amount of bile that's in your stool. So what you eat combined with bile creates that normal brown color that most of us expect. Okay. Green. Sometimes your stool can have a slightly greenish color to it. Sometimes it can be quite green, and that can be the result of if you're eating a lot of fibrous veggies, you know, a lot of kale, spinach, that can do it. If you're an adult and you've ever participated in St. Patty's Day beverages, those can do that. Food coloring can certainly make your stools very bright green, okay? And also iron supplements. If you're someone that takes iron supplements, excuse me, they can give your stools a bit of a greenish hue, and even sometimes to black, kind of going like from a lighter green to almost a really dark black. So if you're taking supplementation and you notice that your stool's got a really funky color to it, just relax, because it's probably the supplementation that's doing that, all right? So yellowish, where your stool looks a little more yellow than brown, and it's actually, according to statistics, I'm going to stop a minute. Stool statistics. I just got a whole other idea for another video. Anyways, this tends to be more normal for most people. If you've ever had children, moms, if you've ever had babies and you're breastfeeding them, you know that their stools are way more yellow than they are brown, okay? So that's a normal color for babies who are being breastfed, and it tends to be the more yellowy brown tends to be the normal average for most adults. Now, if you have yellowish stool and it looks very greasy and it has a very strong smell, that is an indication, or can be an indication, that you have there's too much fat in your diet, that your body's not able to digest properly, and you probably want to talk to your doctor about that. It can be something that can be fixed or altered with your diet, or it may require something else. But if you're noticing that this is the normal for you, I would say please go in and talk to your doctor about that, because digestively something's going on that needs correction, okay? White, pale, or clay colored, okay? Certain medicines can do this, okay? So if you're on medication, all of a sudden you notice like, ooh, there's a change, it's probably that, all right? Now, more serious cause of that color of a stool can be an indication that there is not a lot of bile. So something internal is going on that's impacting that needs to be addressed. Your body makes bile in the liver. It stores it in the gallbladder and releases it into your small intestine, because that helps with digesting the food. So if there's not enough of that, if you're not making enough bile that's getting in there to do that job, your stool is going to look much more pale and clay colored, and it could indicate that there's other problems happening, or another problem could happen. So again, if this is you, please get in and talk to your doctor about this to figure out what is the course of action to remedy it for you. Black. Okay, so when children are first born, their very first stool is always black, 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 okay? Now, and that's normal. Now, when it happens with you, if it happens with you, it can be something you ate, okay? Again, supplements and medicine can make your stool very black. It can also be a sign of a much more serious problem, like bleeding in the upper part of your digestive tract. So you might also notice, if you notice that the toilet water you notice it's pink or red, like you notice drops of blood in the water, there's internal bleeding happening, and you do want to go in and see your doctor. I don't want anybody to panic and freak out, but if you're not on any kind of medication, you're not on any kind of supplementation, you didn't eat something like a lot of dark greens like chard and kale and beets, things that can contribute to making a very dark colored stool. Nothing like that is present in your life or has happened, and you notice this, please go in and talk to your doctor to address it and get things sorted out, okay, and get you on track. Red or reddish poop. So don't be alarmed right away if you notice this. If you eat beets, if you eat fresh garden beets, trust me, your very next stool is going to be very red, and so is the toilet water, okay? So ask yourself, like when this happens, ask yourself, have you had beets? Have you had any kind of like maybe like a red jello or something that's had red food coloring in it? Any kind of red drinks where that color's been added will turn your stool a reddish color, so that would be the cause of it. Now, if you don't think it is your diet or something that you ate, it could be a digestive problem. Now, if that's the case, if you know for a fact you haven't eaten anything at all that would cause your stool to become red or reddish, and if you notice that it's bright red and you notice what looks like blood in the toilet, it could indicate that there's some bleeding happening in the lower part of your digestive tract. And some of the things that may cause it can be non-cancerous tumors. Okay, so polyps and things can do this. You could have possibly some inflammation, and that can lead to colitis. Diverticulitis, that can cause this to happen. You may also have hemorrhoids, because hemorrhoids will, especially if you're having trouble passing stools, that can cause them to bleed. And I mean, the last worst case scenario would be forms of cancer, but there's a lot of other things that you would check off the list before that. We don't always jump to the worst case scenario, because it isn't always the worst case scenario, and sometimes these are problems that can be addressed with diet, with medical intervention, to get things working better and to get you feeling better. So, I think we've covered it all. I really do hope, I mean, all joking and lightheartedness aside, I do hope you found the video helpful. I do hope you will actually take this topic somewhat seriously, because it seems to be a much easier conversation when someone's talking about an upset stomach, or they're vomiting a lot, or they're getting sores all over their body or something. But all of a sudden we start talking about poop, it gets really awkward, nobody wants to talk about it. But I mean, if any of you have ever had any like serious like lab tests done, or you're being screened for something, a lot of times your doctor is going to request a stool sample, because there's a lot of things that it can tell us and show us about what's happening inside that we can't see. So it does matter, it is important, and I encourage you all to just kind of relax, chill out about it, chuckle a little, and take some time to get to know your poop. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, thank you so much for joining me and for sticking with me in this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped. I hope it gave you something to think about. If you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up. I just feel the love. Now, if you found this video helpful and you're looking for some more information as far as digestive health, I want you to check out that pinned comment below. I have a free gift for you. It is a immune boosting report. It's a free report with 5 ways that you can help support a healthy immune system. It's actually called 5 Ways to Boost Your Immune System. Now, 72% of our immune system is in our digestive tract. So keeping that digestive tract healthy and keeping things moving well through our whole system is going to help support a stronger, healthier immune system. So if you click that pinned comment and enter your email, you're going to get that free gift right away. And I think you're really going to like it. I'm Coach Tanya here at Criticalbench. Thank you again for joining me. Don't forget to click that notification bell and the subscription button so you never miss any of our great video content. And I can't wait to talk to you again.